Good morning, boys and girls. Today in class, we will be learning about the history of the wonderful state we live in, Michigan. You will also learn how we attained statehood, along with the challenges Michigan went through. On your desk, you will see a map of Michigan and the neighboring states around it. As we go through our history, we're going to color code and key in the important details of Michigan and also the important areas. Before the first settlers came to Michigan, the Native Americans were the first people to live here. Okay, now we're going to take out our maps and crayons and we're going to shade in the different areas where these Native American tribes were located and lived. The Mawanami tribe lived in south central Upper Peninsula. We're going to shade in this area orange. The Chippewa tribe lived in eastern Upper Peninsula. We're going to shade in this area tan. The Potawatomi tribe lived in western Lower Michigan. We're going to shade in this area red. The Mascoutin tribe lived in western and central southern part of Lower Michigan. We're going to color this in yellow. The Squaw tribe lived in eastern and central lower part of Michigan near the Saginaw Bay. We're going to color this area dark brown. The Fox tribe lived in eastern and lower Michigan near the Lake Huron, one of our Great Lakes, and we're going to shade in this area light brown. The Chicopee tribe lived in southeastern corner of Lower Michigan. We're going to shade in this area pink. The Miami tribe lived in southwestern corner of Lower Michigan. We're going to shade in this area gray. Now, back in the 1600s, there wasn't any grocery stores or restaurants to buy food if you were hungry. The Native Americans didn't have technology to do these things, so they were very independent. They had to grow food and cook meals for themselves. They would grow crops such as corn, beans, peas, squash, and pumpkins. Also, hunting and gathering was another way they got food. The first settlers that came to Michigan were French. Ernest Boulay found Michigan while exploring the area in 1622. After he came, more settlers followed. Father Jacques Marquette came in 1668 and started the first missionary in Sault Ste. Marie. Now, Sault Ste. Marie is in the bottom of the Upper Peninsula. After you cross, which is now made the Mackinac Bridge, you will be by it. We're going to color in Sault Ste. Marie blue, and any waterways that we come across in our timeline, they will be colored blue as well. At the time, the fur trade was huge. That's how you would make a lot of money. The settlers wanted to do more trading in Michigan opposed to farming, because farming was rather difficult for the French settlers. However, they were able to populate more apple and pear trees. Since the French was unsuccessful with farming, it was needed more than ever. But Michigan was unappealing, and farmers did not want to move here. Without the farmers, there would be less farming. This was primarily because of the land survey the government did. The results said how poor and swampy the land was, because at the time most settlers were living in one area and they did not expand. The fur trade wasn't going strong because of the lack of transportation, and the actual fur traders were difficult to deal with. While all of this was going on, America was still under Britain's control, which made these hard tasks even more difficult. Things started looking up for Michigan when the Erie Canal was opened. This opened in 1825. This cost to make the canal was $7 million. It was a lot of money, very expensive. However, it connected Lake Erie, one of our Great Lakes, and the Hudson River. This made trading much easier and travel. It was no longer an issue. And it connected New York and Michigan together so people could go around this river and go to the States and do more trading. After the Erie Canal was built, more people started to move to Michigan. This created more agricultural settlements and trading opportunities. The governmental surveys then divided the land into sections and townships. This started to make Michigan more state-like. Along with water transportation, when more settlers came, roads were built, which helped moving within the state. This caused exploring throughout Michigan and created more agricultural opportunities. People found different types of land the state had to offer. For example, prairie land grew more wheat and wool, which soon became Michigan's cash crop. Since Michigan still wasn't a state, the territory consisted of only the Lower Peninsula. At the time, the Upper Peninsula was Indiana Territory. Now, on my map, I'm pointing to where the state of Indiana is. We're going to color in this area purple. But then Indiana became a state in 1816, and the Upper Peninsula was not part of it. This made the UP unorganized federal territory. The Upper Peninsula was also doing as well as the Lower Peninsula. Agriculture was booming in the mid-1800s. People were able to grow hay and potatoes. Again, this shows how Michigan's land was good for many purposes. Also, mining and lumber was especially successful. Now on our map in the UP, I'm pointing to where the Tequendama Falls are. This consists of upper huge falls and lower falls. Now the upper falls moved water very quick, so settlers and workers were able to move logs down the river. This helped a lot in the lumber industry. Now Michigan claimed a little strip of land at the border of our state known as the Toledo Strip. However, Ohio claimed this strip of land as their territories. So Michigan and Ohio fought over this land and even had a militia down in this area to defend what they thought was theirs. Thankfully, no one was ever harmed. Don't let the word war fool you. Now at the Toledo Strip right here, we're going to color in this area black. The fight over the Toledo Strip lasted 5 years. This created problems for Michigan in trying to attain statehood. The residents living in the Michigan Territory wanted to become a state more than ever. But President Andrew Jackson, who was our president at the time, said that Michigan Territory cannot become a state until the battle over the Toledo Strip was solved. However, Congress had an idea to solve this dispute between Michigan and Ohio. They came up with a compromise that gave Ohio the Toledo Strip and Michigan the Upper Peninsula. The residents of Michigan saw how successful and useful the UP would be, so they decided that this was a better deal than just having a little strip of land. So, both states agreed on this compromise, but needed to be approved by the government. A convention was held to discuss the dispute over the Toledo Strip and the new compromise the states wanted to do. After 4 days of thinking and discussing, the compromise was denied. But this wasn't going to stop the residents of Michigan. On December 14, 1836, A second convention was held to re-discuss the compromise. After 3 days, it was finally accepted. Congress passed a bill for Michigan to become a state, which President Andrew Jackson signed on January 2nd, 1837.